So we picked up this 2003 Yamaha Warrior, and she's a little bit rough around the edges. It runs, but the guy said that it'll run for a while and then it'll quit running, and it's hard to start. So I don't know if it's losing fire or the carburetor, but I know that the carburetor was leaking gas when I got it here, so it could just be a carburetor issue. It's got a lot of rigged up stuff on it, like somebody tried to rig this shifter up. First they welded this little rod to the existing, well, it's actually two different shifters. They tried to weld this rod to, I don't know why they did that. What kind of riggery was that? But anyway, this is all rigged up. Looks like it's got some 10-speed handlebars on it. It runs pretty good when it's running. I couldn't get it to restart. It's got an HMF pipe that don't have the back end on it. It's got a muffler shop flexi pipe. So-so tires for fronts. They got some good tread on them. They don't have no front brakes. The front brake calipers are missing, and the master cylinder is missing. But it does have the stock headlights. You know, these usually get tore off, and people will put LED lights. I think it's got the high density headlight bulbs. It's missing the front bumper. Seats torn. It's been painted. I mean, it's, you know how when you get something and when you're looking at it, when the other person's got it, it's like cool. Then you get it home, you're like, ooh. But it got a brand new rear master cylinder. Looks like we got some wires hanging here going to the solenoid. Chain has been came off before. Busted it right there. That's typical because people don't adjust the chains. Like I say, the plastics look like they tried to paint them with some kind of purple two-tone stuff, but it's all there. I mean, these old Warrior 350s, when they came out, they were like the top dog. If you didn't have a Banshee, you had a Warrior 350. And if you didn't have a Warrior 350, you had a Yamaha Blaster. So they're just heavy four-wheelers. I mean, they're pretty fast for what they are. They're just heavy, and for some reason that old 350 engine gets hot, especially when you're doing a lot of idling around. You can feel the heat coming off of it. Actually, it's the same motor that was in the 350 Big Bear. It's just that this is a clutch model, and the 350 Big Bear was a automatic. This is a 03, the first year Warriors. I think starting with 87. I think they had the headlights down here on the front, two square headlights. Kind of look goofy. I like those headlights better because they kind of look like Banshee headlights. And the first year Warriors were also pull start and electric start. So instead of, I think, oh, we gotta go on the other side. Right on top of the magneto cover over here, there was a pull start, and you can pull start it or electric start it, either one. That was the early models. I don't remember when they went straight electric start. I think probably 98, 2000 maybe. But they went all electric start. got rid of the pull start. Uses that pull starter to get caked up with mud and don't want to work. And I think it even had a compression release. I actually think this is the same motor as the what is it, the Yamaha Wolverine 350, but this is just a clutch model. So picked it up cheap. Like I say, it's gonna need some tender loving care. You know, missing the handlebar grip. We got to figure out why it shuts off. It's either gonna be carburetor or electrical. And we probably can get some front brakes on it. Did they turn these wheels around backwards? Yeah, these wheels are turned around backwards. You can see the shadow of the spindle where it's supposed to be flipped around the other way. They did that, I guess, to make it wider at the front. Yeah, that's weird. Never seen nobody do that. Anyway, 03 Warrior. I'll try and gather up some parts for it, I guess, like the brakes for the front, handlebar grills. I want to change those ugly handlebars. And I don't know. We'll see if we can get it running good and ride it, maybe pass it on. Look like it's got some new tie rod ends down there. Yeah, it's got new tie rod ends. Inner tie rod ends. Got the whole thing, the rod and everything. So that's good. So we'll see if we can round up some parts like the front bumper too, and go from there with it. So I'm gonna get this thing unloaded. It's starting to rain again, and we'll get to it. So picked up another Yamaha 350 Warrior day before Christmas Eve. Guy had this one on Marketplace for $250. Said he didn't want to mess with it no more, so I picked it up, and it's got a lot of good parts what I need for my Warrior. It's got like brand new back tires on it, front tires not that great. Plastics are good. It needs a crank kit. He said it was running and it was knocking. Well, crank is gone, so cases need to be split. But it's got a bunch of new parts that he had bought. I guess he had it running. This is a brand new niche cylinder, and don't look like it's ever been ran. Well, yeah, it has, looking at that O-ring. It's got a brand new head. That's the old head here. I don't see nothing wrong with it. That's the old piston. The skirt's busted off of it. Here's a new piston. There's an old cylinder right here. Side cover, like a K&N air filter. Motor mount bolts, plastic bolts. Brand new on and off switch. There's an old on and off switch. There's a hot box for CDI, stator, side cover, cam cover. I think this is the original carburetor. There's one hanging on it, so I would suspect it's the new one hanging on it. This is not a Warrior cylinder. What is this cylinder off of? It's a niche cylinder, but I don't know. But you got a battery. Had to put the charger on it. But for $250, you can't go wrong. A set of plastics for these are $200 to $400, depending on what shape. And then if you have to pay for shipping, you add that in. I talked to a couple guys on the 350 Warrior Facebook group page, some of them guys don't want to ship those plastics. I'm like, why even bother about selling the stuff if you don't want to ship it? Front bumper smashed in, which I just bought one of those for the other one. They usually always get the use. It's got the stock pipe and silencer cut. You know, most of them, they cut the ends out of them to make them louder. Or they take the baffle out of it. Yeah, they took the silencer out. Mine's got an H&F on it that goes on something else, so we'll be putting this on there. It's got the shifter, which I just bought for the other one. Yeah, that's the new carburetor there, which I need for my other bike, which I already bought one, so now I got 3. It don't have the original headlights, the Warrior round Banshee headlights. He actually said there was a guy that wanted to buy it, and the first thing he asked him was, did it have the Banshee headlights, Warrior headlights? They got some kind of cheesy light bar, and the guy wouldn't buy it. I guess he was wanting those headlights. Those headlights for the Warriors and Banshees, they're hard to find, those round ones. Now the 87, they first started these in 87. They had the headlights way out at the end of the front bumper. They kind of sucked and they were ugly. They were square. As soon as you hit something, they'd get broke. So Yamaha moved them up here. There's the key switch. But yeah, $250 for a Warrior. I mean, you put a crank kit in it, be a good bike. There's a lot of guys still riding these. Like I said, there's a Facebook group page out there on them, and that's all they talk about, Warriors. So anyway, I'm gonna get a lot of this stuff cleaned up and put it in another box, because the box had a hole in it, and get the 4-wheel off here, get the plastics cleaned up, and see how good they look. And that seat looks good. It's hard to find a seat these days that tore up. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. Well, I hope everyone has had a safe New Year's. I'm back on the channel, which is the second channel, so happy New Year's to everybody. I know there's been a lot of tragedy that went down in New Orleans right at New Year's, and my heart goes out to all you guys that might have had relatives, loved ones, you know, anybody that you know that was involved in that terrorist attack in New Orleans. So my prayers go out, and really hate to hear that happen. But like I say, it's a loss for word thing. You know, you can be out just doing your own thing and something like that happen. Well, I picked up these 2 Warriors. I got this one right before, I want to say Christmas, a little bit before Christmas, I think. It might have been a week before Christmas. And like I shown in the video, this one was tore down. It needed a crank kit. The guy had put a brand new cylinder and head and everything on it. It started knocking. He tore it down in the bottom end. The crank bearings were gone. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this yet. I don't know if I'm gonna build it yet, but I bought it for the plastics off of it for this one here, which I picked up probably 3 months ago. Got it last year, probably around Halloween last year. I picked this one up. It runs, but the carburetor's junk. You have to run it with the choke on. And someone had rigged the shifter up because the original shifter was broken. So they kind of welded this rod to the other shifter, this shifter that don't belong on there. So I ordered a new shifter for it, and it came in, but these plastics has been painted with some car paint or something, and I don't like them. So I'm going to swap the plastics off of this one over to that one. And the seat, this seat is perfect. And I had bought new brake calipers for the front of that one. Also, because when I got it, it didn't have any front brake calipers, just the hoses hanging there. So I got those brand new. That one's got good front brakes and everything. So it's amazing how I start buying stuff for this one. Then this guy throws this one on Marketplace for $250. And it's got way more than $250 worth of stuff on it. And I bought a front bumper for that one over there. But this front bumper's trash. It don't have the original headlights. It's just got this light bar that they wired up. Oh, that's a front plastic piece. It's got a good set of tires on the back. Some D-lots. That's what they call. Still got the titties hanging off of it. Good looking tires, kind of look like hole shots. They actually match my front tires over here. But in the meantime, before I got this one, I ordered a set of rear tires off of eBay. A guy was parting out a Warrior. These got the nice aluminum, polished aluminum wheels, rims. Good looking tires. So I was gonna put these on the 03. I think both of them are 03 Warriors. I was gonna put those on the back here because these are slick. They don't hold air. And then I ran up on this one. So we got these are, what size are they? 22 by 10 by 9s. And I think these are 20 by 11 by 8. So I'm thinking more of putting those on the back of here because those got the steel wheels and they're kind of ugly, but their tires are excellent and they'll match the front polished aluminum wheels. So I'm gonna take all the plastics off of that one and put it on this one. Like I say, this one's been painted with car paint or something, and plastics are starting to chip. Looked like it was red at one time. So I'm gonna take the seat and all the plastics off of that one. I got a new bumper for it, or a new used bumper. Got another bumper for it. It's got the caps on it. Right on the front. Yeah, like that. I had bought new calipers for this one and everything, and ended up with that one. So what I'm probably gonna do is just swap everything over to this one. I got the stock pipe I'm gonna put on it because this one here has got an HMF. It's extremely loud and it's rigged up. They got like a flex pipe clamped onto the head pipe. So I'm gonna put the stock muffler on it for now. HMF sounds good, but it's got a lot of exhaust leaks. The carburetor is junk. It only runs with the choke on. So, I mean, it could be clean, but I don't know. This one's got a brand new carburetor. I actually got the old carburetor too. That's what's wrapped up. So basically we're gonna transfer everything that's good off of this one over to this one, make it look decent. And in the future, if I do anything, I'll send this bottom end off and get a new crank kit put in it. And I got a brand new top end for it, brand new head, piston, rings, cylinder. We could put this one back together and have a seller. Somebody want to buy it. Well, I might just keep it for a parts one. I don't know yet, but that's what my plan is to get this one looking better, running better, and that's it. So I'm going to start getting all these plastics out. They look kind of bad. They look kind of scratched. They really just need to be washed. So they look kind of scratched up, but I'm going to try and clean them and then put them on there. A set of Warrior plastics is expensive. Even on eBay, you're looking at like $250 plus shipping for some Warrior plastics, and jumping on this one for $250 was the best deal ever. So I got a lot of extra parts. So I'm gonna start changing the plastics, put the back wheels on it, get the right shifter on it. I got another set of handlebars for it. I got new handlebar grips for it. We could take the front calipers. I might just leave these front calipers on there because I got brand new brake shoes and calipers for this one. I don't know if there's another set of handlebar grips. Bag is even. I haven't looked at none of this stuff as much because we're having so much other stuff going on the other channel. Well, we'll get it unboxed. I'm gonna have to cut all of it. But these are the new master cylinder and front brake caliper for this one. So I might just put all the new stuff on there, and then I think all the front brakes and stuff work on this one. Yeah. Just leave this one complete. That way, if I want to sell it to somebody, it'll be all together. And that's it. So I'm gonna get started doing some swap and get this thing looking better. So I ran into a dilemma right off the bat. So someone has changed the rear hubs on this Warrior here. It's got a small bow pattern, and it looks like that one might have a bigger bow pattern. I think I'm wrong, folks. So I don't remember what year these rims came off of. They're Yamaha. I have to look it up, but nobody didn't change the hubs. These wheels, this must be off a later model one because you see how big the bow pattern is. So that means I'll be putting these on for now, and if I do get some hubs for these, I can run these. So I didn't know that. So I'll be putting these wheels on now, and then it's gonna need a rotor though. Look at that rotor. That rotor is wore slap out. That's for riding with no brake pads. This one over here is nice and smooth. They don't have any brake pads. It's hard to keep brake pads on these four-wheelers, especially with dirt and sand and mud. But we'll be swapping that rotor over. I'll probably just do that later. Swap that brake rotor over to this one. That one's in real bad shape. And look like I'm gonna have to get some rear brake shoes. I don't know if I ordered any. Both of them need it. This one's got the emergency brake delete plate on the back. That's probably an aftermarket caliper look like, because this one's got all the emergency brake stuff. Still hooked up, but it don't work. Something up. Oh, the cable. And that's the clutch. And then this is supposed to work somehow. Oh, this is just janky. You're supposed to push down on that and pull it, and then that locks the parking brake. It ain't working, but it looked like it did pull the cable. So all that works, it just needs some shoes. Then you release it. So we might be putting all of that on this four. I hate to change all that over to this. I originally thought about taking the engine out of this one and just stick it over in that frame since it had everything on it already. But that's a lot of work, pulling that big old engine out of there, and then have to worry about the studs, the exhaust studs. I have seen them break off, and then if they break off, then you got to get them re-drilled and tapped. So I would rather just keep the running capability of this one together and just swap what we can. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those wheels on anyway. We'll do the rear brake rotor when I get some rear brake pads, because I don't have any, and start swapping these plastics and stuff over. Yeah. All right, so I found out somebody did swap out hubs on both of these four-wheelers. What they did, they drilled these out and welded washers on the front. You can see on the back where they look like they took a torch and made the hose wider, and then they welded washers on the front. So these hubs here are the exact same hubs as those. They're supposed to be wide hubs, like these here, and it's supposed to have looks like 4.5 spacing between the studs. And I measured these, and they are like 4 inches, right at 4 inches. So these are not the right hubs. So I'm gonna order the correct ones for it, because I really want to run the tires I bought really now. So these are right at 4.5 will be on out some. So I'm gonna order the right hubs so I can run these wheels. That's what's supposed to be on it. I was wondering why these things look goofy. They came off maybe a 3-wheeler or something, or a Honda, a Suzuki. But the hubs, they slide right on, but they're not correct. Well, for right now, I'm just gonna throw these on there, because those other ones keep going flat. And go ahead and order these. I think Amazon want like 43 bucks for 2 hubs. So we get the right stuff and be done with that. So I have completely tore these things down. Well, one of them was already tore down. Well, not completely tore down, but you know what I mean. So I got all the plastics off of both of them. And this thing over here has been rigged so much. As you can see, the pipe is an HMF pipe. It got a piece of flex pipe, and it's going to the header pipe. Exhaust leak central. Air box has been drilled, duct tape drilled. It's got a filter in it. It's got an aftermarket carburetor, but it didn't want to run right, so I'm going to use the carburetor off the other one. The wiring has been butchered. These wires right here is for the neutral and reverse light. Cut. Some wires right here cut. Key ignition's been wired in with some wire nuts. It's got some broken bolts off that holds the front fenders. The front wheel bearings wore out. It's got some kind of, I don't know what kind of tie rod ends these is, but they got them, look like they've been cut off or something. I don't know what these could have came off of. Anyway, the wiring back here, it's been cut going to the starter solenoid. All the wires is just hanging down on the chain roller. The chain roller wore out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this engine out of this frame. I didn't notice the top motor mount brackets cracked. I'm going to pull this engine out of this frame, and I'm just going to transfer it to this frame. This frame over here has got everything on it. It's got the good brake rotor, the Mercy brake, all that's hooked up. It's got good front wheel bearings. All the wiring is still ran like it's supposed to. So I'm just going to use this frame. The only wires I got to straighten out on it is up here where the headlights go. I just got to put the plugs back on there. What if they wired it in? Is those the headlight wires? Look like they just... No, they cut one of the plugs. They cut one of the plugs. This goes, I don't know where that goes. But they cut one of the plugs to hook up this light bar. You get that off. This one's got better suspension. I'm gonna take off this front bumper. I'm gonna put the wheels back on it. And yeah, I'm gonna use this frame. Like I say, by the time I transfer everything to that one and drill out the broken bolts, fix all the broken wires, it's just too much. I'm just gonna use this frame here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start unbolting stuff again. I'm gonna get this raggedy exhaust off here, throw it outside. The HMF pipe, it's got the silencer still in it, but it's not the right setup. I got the original stuff. I read it for it to be quiet. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start unbolting this big old motor, swap it on over there, and then we'll use this one as a parts frame. I don't know if I'm gonna put the Nerf bars on there. I might leave them on this frame. They're cool if you're racing and stuff, and they do protect sticks and stuff. You know, you ride in the woods. I don't know. I might put them over on this one. I don't know. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Got the exhaust off. I was lucky, real lucky, praying lucky that I got the exhaust flange bolts or nuts out, because on these Warriors, they're known to break off. These heads build up so much heat that it like welds the nuts onto the exhaust studs, and they came loose. I had to fight with them, but I heated them up, let them cool off. This is one of the studs. The nut is rusted to the stud, and here's the nut for the other side. So I was lucky enough to get that exhaust pipe off. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the engine out of it and put it in the other frame. I was picking it up and moving it around and went to move it, and the swing arm bushings are wore out. That goes through the swing arm bolt through the frame. And as I'm moving it, I don't know if y'all can see that because I'm moving with it. The bushings are just gone. So that's another thing I would have had to replace on this frame. Those are good in that frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the chain off, carburetor off, unplug the wiring. Hopefully they don't have this all rigged up. No, that's good. And get this engine out. I'm gonna steam clean it, get it cleaned up before I put it back in. And yeah, so let me get back on it. All right, the engine is out, and it wasn't too bad. All the engine bolts came loose real easy. Now, they had welded some kind of funky gear shifter on here. They actually welded a bolt through another gear shifter and had that welded to the shifter, the right shifter, but they welded all this crap up on there. So I'm gonna have to cut that, probably have to cut that shifter in half, because I broke it off of there. That was a bolt, and probably gonna have to cut right through this little section beside the shaft, so I can get the bolt out, or just get the shifter off. Now this one had a chain thrown before. You can see it's got JB weld on the case. That's typical for these Warriors. They don't keep the chain tight, and then these chain rollers go bad. Like this one's bad. I ordered some. These chain rollers go bad, and they don't keep the chain in line. They don't keep the chain tension, and it throws the chain off. And this chain, it is trash. Just look how weak and loose it is. It's not even an O-ring chain. It's just a cheap old regular, I think it's a 420 chain. So this frame had a lot going for it. Wore out bushings and bearings and broken bolts. But yeah, these swing arm bushings, look at that. That is all wore out. So it needed swing arm bushings. So I'm gonna take this engine, steam clean it up real good, get it up on the table, get the shifter off, and then we'll get it ready to put in this frame over here. Like I said, this one's nice and tight, and all the bushings and stuff are good. So let me get this thing cleaned up and get it in the new frame. Well, not new frame, but new used frame. Alright, so I cleaned the engine up a little bit best I could. I found out that where they got this JB weld on here, that it is flaking off. So I mean, that's going to start leaking again where that chain hit it. And it's, of course, it's got this piece of the case broke where you can't put the chain guard back on there. Like this one in this engine here, it's a good case half. You can still put the chain on there. I don't know why they made it so deep like that, where this metal, this aluminum sticks out, because that chain, I mean, it won't take much to knock chip out of that, but you got to keep those chains tight, or that's what happens, and keep a good front sprocket. And also I found out this case half right here looked like they ran a bolt, the wrong length of bolt, through the case right there, and it busted the tab, and it's been leaking oil just sitting here. So it's not tightening up at the front of this cover in the case. So what I'm thinking about doing, I'm thinking about just tearing this engine down and changing the case half. Since this engine needs a crank kit, we can go ahead and tear it the rest of the way down, get the good case half, put it over on this bottom end, tear the top end off of this one too. Well, you got to tear it off anyways, split the cases. And I'm thinking about going back with the new top end that we got with this engine. It came with a new cylinder and head with the rocker and valve assembly, new ring and piston. I'm thinking about just putting it all on this motor. This motor ran good. It did smoke a little bit. I don't know if it was carburetor smoke, but I'm thinking about just putting the whole new setup over on here with the case half. Then that engine will be a real good sound engine. I mean, even though it was running, but I did find out the carburetor was just no good. They had it all rigged up, so, but it looks like it had an oil leak. These Warriors are bad about leaking oil right on the front of the cylinder head. Somebody put some silicone on there. The gasket is so thin that goes on there, and you have to torque those heads down correctly so they won't leak oil. So I got a gasket set ordered, coming. I'm gonna check the timing chain while I'm in there, and I'm leaning towards that. So what I'm gonna do, since this engine's already tore down top end wise, I'm gonna go ahead and get this bottom end broke down. Should just be able to flip it on the side, and I got the book. Flip it on the side, and you see the crankshaft and transmission and all that. We're not going to pull all the gears and none of that out. We just want to change that case half, and should just be able to swap that out. And this book is a older model book. I think this is 87 to 89, I believe. But it's all the same. These engines are all the same on the 350 Warrior. Like I was saying, the only difference is this engine here. The first Warriors had a pull cord on one side, and then they went all electric. And if you didn't know what that compression stroke was, it's hard to pull. I mean, super hard to pull. If you didn't know how to get to that compression stroke. But anywho, I'm gonna go ahead, break this engine down, both of them down to this, get that case cover off. I got the chain guard that goes on that engine, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that swapped out. So might take me a little bit to get it back going, but I don't want to worry about oil leaking here again. And then if you go to sell it to somebody, anybody knows about racing four wheels, they see this, oh man, it looks like it had an oil leak, you know, something like that. But I would rather just use this motor wisely, since it needs a crank kit anyway, and go from there. So y'all just hang tight, and I'm gonna tear it down. We'll get the gaskets and hopefully get it back together. So I got the stator magneto off. This was mostly torn down, so I don't know if this gear for the timing chain, look, it's pressed on there. I couldn't figure out how you get it off. I didn't see anything in the manual about pulling it off, so I guess I'm gonna try and just get the cover up, and hopefully the bearing will come out of the cover, and all that'll just stay on the crankshaft. So it's been a while, a long while, since I split cases on anything, and I don't have the case tool. This is a bushing that needs to come out. There's actually a tool you use to split cases, but I'm gonna try it without it. So start by taking all these bolts loose. There is a special puller you have to have to pull the stator magneto off, or flywheel. Just to say flywheel. Well, I was able to make one. I ordered one off of Amazon, but it won't be here until late next week. On top of, we got about 5 inches of snow today. Well, it started last night, and on Amazon website they're saying there's going to be some unexpected delivery time. So yeah, so what you want to do is take these screws off. You want to make sure you don't lose where they come from. A lot of them are different lengths. That's a long one. I kind of want to leave them in there if I can. You might be able to split the cases and just leave them in there as long as they're loose. But it's got 2 notches on each part of the motor where you can probably pry up on it. So hopefully, do I have to take the oil filter out? Let me look in the manual. I don't think there are any screws back there. So I believe we're good. Kind of amateur doing this. I haven't did it. Oh, we got some movement. I believe somebody's been in it before. As long as that shaft so that's the thing I'm worried about, is that bearing on the end of the crankshaft. You don't want to really start sticking screwdrivers and stuff in there, because you can mess up the mating surface. You want to be gentle with it. I mean, if you're gonna do it, make sure you get a good open spot, because if you mess up those mating surfaces, you're gonna have an oil leak. Let me see if I got something smaller. You don't want to put be nice if that bearing stays. On that crankshaft. I'm just going to pry up on it lightly. Yeah, it's coming. It's going to stay on the crankshaft, so that's good. That's what I want. Make sure all the screws are out. Just going to go around. Not damaging the mating surface. Get something to almost off. Something else to almost out of that bearing. Almost off of there. Got me hung up. It's that bearing is what it is. Came up halfway and then stopped. Let me get a flashlight. Whatever I do this. Might have to pull the oil filter out. There's like a shaft that's coming through there. I didn't think you had to pull it. All but off there though. Nothing up under there. Should be good. In the book they're showing you pull the oil filter housing. Something is, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. Plastic to work. I mean, it's all but up. Something's got it. Something's holding. Something's definitely holding. I don't know what's holding it. What is holding it? It was coming out there easy. There it goes. Make sure nothing ain't gonna pop out. There we go. Ah! Drop the bolt. Got too ahead of myself. I'll find out where that bolt came from. Oh, came from in there. Alright, well the case is off. I will flip it over, but I got the screws in it. So that was easy. Somebody's been in here before. Ooh, I see some of the thrust washer remnants. Here's the thrust washer that goes around the crankshaft. Everything stayed. Oh, that was the shift shaft that was hanging up on. But everything stayed nice and neat. Yeah, this crank bearing is junk. Alright, so I ordered the gasket set. It should be here next week. Today is Friday. And like I said, we got some snowy weather. And it's going to be putting a lot of places behind. But yeah, this is the thrust washer that goes around the crankshaft, down where the crankshaft bearing is. There's the transmission. So maybe, well, I'm gonna use the cover off of it anyway. I was gonna say we could put a crank in it, but the other covers, we can order a cover for this bottom end. I don't know if I'm gonna repair this one or not, but anyway, got the cover off. Good cover, it's not broke. We didn't damage anything. Oh, everything looks good in there. So it's pretty easy. Some of them you have to force to get them off, and you have to use that tool. Now I don't know how that one's going to be. Hopefully that one spreads open like this one without force. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Like I'm saying, I'm gonna get that one tore down, and we'll get the gasket. I don't want to tear it down right now. I want to wait till I get the gasket. I want to get the right puller that pulls the flywheel. There's a puller that screws onto the flywheel, and it pushes against the crankshaft. I have one, but it's too short because that crank is real long, and the puller that I ordered goes over, screws onto the flywheel, and then the bolt pushes against there. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself and have a lot of stuff tore down. I'll probably just wait before I tear that one down. We'll get the top end stuff off, and like I said, the gasket set, and then we'll just put it all back together one time. I don't want to have a bunch of stuff laying around. So that's going to be it for now. Hope y'all enjoying some nice weather. Like I said, we got a lot of snow today, but still got these tore down. They're still sitting here. We haven't touched them. I did order some hubs, some Warrior hubs, so I can put the new tires on. That's for Warrior. I talked to some guys on the Warrior group page, and they said those are blaster wheels, both of them. That's why the bolt pattern is so small. So somebody just put blaster wheels on both of them. You know how it is. You find a good set of wheels online or something, or somebody had a scrap blaster. So I'm waiting on the hubs to come in so I can put the hubs on this one, and we can put the new tires I got on. And I got chain rollers coming, stuff like that. So that's gonna be it right now, folks. Like I said, y'all have a good weekend, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Like, share, subscribe, and comments, and all right.